Today this video is going to be focusing on a certain response I've been hearing from atheists for quite a while now. And it sort of goes like this. I'll ask them, atheism is a belief. It's the belief that there is no God. What reasons do you have to believe that? Every belief has to have reasons. They come back and they say, well, you know what, I have a very good reason to believe what I believe, that there is no God. Okay, what is it? And here is the topic of today's video. The response is this. There is no evidence to believe that there is a God. You have to have a lot of reasons to believe that God exists rationally. That's a pretty big claim. And, it should have lots of reasons behind it. Well, I would like to say that, yes, I believe there are lots of reasons to believe that God exists, but, I'd also like to say that there is plenty of evidence. Whether or not you believe that evidence to be credible or not, well, that's up to you, but it is evidence. What I'm going to talk about tonight, though, is a simple statement that there is no evidence for God, and that's their reason for believing it. Okay, first of all, this isn't true. Absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. You can't say that God does not exist because there is no evidence that He exists. That just does not follow. Now, let me put an analogy up here for you. Imagine we're about to play poker, okay? And I draw two cards from a randomly shuffled deck. And right now, currently, you have no idea what's in my hand. You have no idea. There is no evidence to suggest that a 2 and a 4 are in my hand. But guess what? I just drew a 2 and a 4. Does that mean that the 2 and a 4 in my hand do not exist? Because there is no evidence to suggest that the 2 and a 4 are in my hand? Or that they are not in my hand? No. It just simply means there's no evidence. Now, you could argue that, well, if God existed, there would be evidence, very clear evidence, undeniable evidence that God exists. That's another argument, though. You see, you have to make it clear to us because it's very confusing where you're coming from when you say that the only reason and the main reason you believe what you believe as an atheist is that there is no evidence. Well, that's not a reason enough. That's not evidence of absence. Now, where can we go from this? It's great when I bring this up to people because then they say stuff like, well, like I just said, if God existed, there'd be plenty of evidence as to why He exists. Well, then you have to go down the road as to why. Why is it that if God exists, there has to be evidence that He exists? That's simply not true. It does not follow. Or maybe there is evidence, but we can't see it. Maybe the God, since He does have free will and He does have a mind of His own, what if this God willed it that, He wanted it that we never found out He existed? What if He had some type of plan that we don't, to make it so that we could never find out? You have to explain to me why in God's nature it follows that He would make it so that we could see Him existing or have some type of evidence of Him existing. Now, don't get me wrong, I think there's plenty of evidence, like I said before, that God exists. And it's up to you to decide whether or not those evidences are true, false to you. But the simple statement that there is no evidence is not only false in the sense that there is, whether it be true or false, there is. But it is also false in the sense that it doesn't rationalize your belief. You can't say I'm an atheist, but it's okay. It's okay I have this belief blindly because, hey, there's no evidence. Well, that would justify being an agnostic, saying that you don't know whether it's a God or not. That's perfect reason. That's exactly the stance you should hold. For instance, let's go back to the card analogy. I have a 2 and a 4 in my hand, okay? You don't know that, though. There's no evidence to suggest that there is any number of cards in my hand because I just chose 2 random cards. Alright? Now, you should be an agnostic on this. You should say, well, I don't know whether it's a 2 or 4 or not. You shouldn't just say, there definitely isn't a 2 or a 2 and a 4, because there is no evidence to suggest that there is a 2 and a 4. That would be simply foolish. But anyways, regardless, I just want to get that point across. Thank you guys for